Hello, welcome back to my channel, Silver Thread Sewing. I'm Diane. Today is Friday Sews. So I hope everyone's well. I wanted to show you a little progress I've made this week. Not anything great, but I do have a few makes to show you and some things that I have refashioned. So, and then we'll talk a little bit about life. There's not a lot going on, but I will update you on what there is. So first off, I finished my little pajama set, and I had shown you a picture of them, I don't know, I guess last week maybe. I'm real happy with the pajama pants. They fit great, and I'm real happy with them. The top, I didn't like the sleeves. I had made like little short sleeves, and they just kind of stuck straight out, and I wasn't real happy with them. And I'm still not, but I did take what fabric scraps I had, and I added a short sleeve. Now, it's got the selvage on this end, and I didn't even hem them. Still, I'm not crazy about it, but it is better than it was. It's a pajama top, and I will definitely still wear it, but I'm still not crazy about the sleeves. I don't know. It's just not my favorite. But I do like the pajamas, and together they look like a cute little set, so I will wear them. Another thing I had made this week, if you probably don't remember, I barely remember, but I have a Genome Air Thread 2000D serger, and it threads, you just push the little lever and it's supposed to thread both of the loopers. It's been in the shop for months, and the parts are on back order. There was some part that was needed, and so it's on back order, and they can't even give me an idea how long it's going to be till that will be ready. So I had borrowed a Juki, I think it's a 114D, and it's a great little serger. It's so quiet, but you have to manually thread it. But I have a lot of trouble with this eye where I had the diabetic bleed. I have trouble with focus, and I have trouble with lighting, and so I really have to concentrate, and sometimes I'll have to try it for a little while and then wait till the next day and get it to thread. The only time I've had to thread it is when I change colors, which is seldom. I usually use neutral colors like gray or beige, but sometimes you need black, white, or even red. So I have changed the thread a couple times this week on it, and I'm getting a little bit more used to it. The only one that gives me any real problem is the top looper. It's hard to get to it, but it has a little thing that you push down, and it kind of brings everything out so you have better access. And I really like that serger. It's really a good little serger. Only problem, my Air Thread 2000D Genome had a thread catcher or a little waste bin for what the serger blades cut off, and everything just went right down in that little plastic bin, and you could just slide it out and empty it. Well, this one doesn't have anything like that. It just kind of, everything just goes out on your table or in the floor, or depending on where you have it set. So I had decided that I wanted to make a thread catcher basket. I looked up some tutorials, and I will link the tutorial that I watched below in case you want to make one. They recommended using a non-slip material for the bottom that goes, there's a pad that goes underneath your serger, and she explains how you need that to be big enough for all four of the little legs, I guess you call them, on the bottom of the serger to sit on that little mat. And then if it's non-slip on the bottom, you don't have to worry about it moving around or anything on that little mat. So then you attach the basket with another little piece of fabric, and she recommended using a kind of like a slippery fabric if you had something that would allow the threads and all just to go down into the basket kind of easy. And made perfect sense when she explained it, but I kind of make everything a little bit muddy. But this is my version of the little thread catcher. And I had some grippy shelf liner paper, like you would use in your shelf or under a rug to keep a rug from slipping. I've used it both ways. I even used to use it in my refrigerator to kind of keep stuff off the glass shelves in my refrigerator. But anyway, that was just a scrap that I had of that. And then I had this little piece of fabric that was pre-quilted. And I used that, and then just, I had a piece of fabric. It feels like something you might use for a water-resistant, maybe a raincoat or jacket. I got it in a Walmart bundle way back, and I didn't really know what to use it for. And there's two reasons I wish I hadn't have used that lining, but I'll explain that to you. But this is just a little piece of plain old quilter's cotton, and the corners are boxed. It works fine. The reason I wouldn't have used this inside, this is not slippery enough. And where it's dark, it's like a navy blue color. If you're using lighter colored threads or fabric, it just looks so messy. And I don't like that. I just hate the way it looks. I wish I had used, I've got some clear vinyl. When I used to make bags, I would use them like for the little windows for the cards, but then the inside seams would show, and that would bug me, I think. So I'm not sure what to use as far as the slippery material for the lining of the bag. But then this little piece is just like I think it's 3 by 4.5 or 5. I don't know. I don't remember. 5 by 3 maybe. And that's just to put the two pieces together. I probably would make that piece a little bit longer for my preference. And I'll show you a picture of what that looks like when it's underneath my serger. Because if this were just a little bit longer, I could scoot my serger back maybe just a little bit better. But anyway, I'm happy with it, and it's a great tutorial, but I might keep looking for some kind of material to use that's a little bit slippery, more slippery than this is for my thread catcher basket. Anyway, long explanation, but it didn't take 30 minutes to make. It was real simple once you get everything cut out. So I'll link that below. Okay, my refashion. This was my little dress that I had bought. I was going to use the fabric. I took the sides in, and it fits fine, and I'll also put some pictures of that in. I had taken the pockets out because I didn't like where they sit on the dress. They were so low. And I had taken them out, and I had a brainstorm to use those pocket pieces as flutter, well, not really flutter sleeves, but kind of as little sleeves, just to kind of cover up my shoulders just a little bit, like I don't know, just a little sleeve, a cap sleeve kind of. Well, there wasn't really enough fabric to do that. If you do a cap sleeve, you kind of have to have it doubled. And where mine had seams in it, it just stuck straight out. And there wasn't really enough to even come down over the top of my shoulder. So instead, I used the pocket steel, and I just cut some, I think, 2.5 or 3 inch strips out of what pocket pieces I could get and put them together. And I just made these little ruffles that go all the way around, and it kind of picks up this neckline, so it kind of looked like it should be that way. And it gives me just a little bit more coverage over my shoulders, which is what I wanted. And I love the dress. I've worn it several times. It's already been washed once or twice this week, I think. So I do like it, and it was very simple to do. And I just, I took it in down the side like I had showed last time. But it is done, and I love it, and I wear it a lot. So the make that I made this week that is on my little dress form that doesn't have a name. I don't know why. I just never named her. She's my nameless dress form. We'll call her No Name. But I had made this little Rhapsody by Love Notion, the 3/4 length sleeve version, out of this rayon challis that I had showed in I think it's like a plans video a little while back, and everybody agreed that it kind of looked like 60s or early 70s fabric, and it kind of looked kind of like the hippie boho style, and I agreed 100%. And so I decided to use the Love Notions Rhapsody pattern that I already had. I had never made this before, and I just made the 3/4 sleeve version that has a little cuff around the bottom. and it has the ties at the top. It's bias tape that I made from the fabric. And I looked at the sizing, and I can tell you kind of how my thought process was. I fell between a medium and a large on most of this. For a medium in this Rhapsody blouse, and there's tons of videos about, you know, the Rhapsody blouse and dress. So many people have done it, and they've done it so well, and they've done tutorials and sew-alongs, and so I wouldn't attempt to do anything like that, but I can tell you kind of how I picked my size. And it's got the shirt tail hem, and it all just, this fabric is just so cute. So I'm tickled to death with it, and of course I want to make more. But on the sizing for a medium, the high bust was 35, and for a large it was 38. Well, mine was about 36 and a half. And then for full bust, on a medium, it called for 37, and the large, a 40. Well, I'm about 38. So I'm right between a medium and a large. Now, on the waist, mine was 34, and that was on a large. And then the hip, 43, and mine's about 40. So I decided after looking at it, and I was so dead in the middle, kind of between those two sizes, I decided to do it all over large. I didn't do any grading at the hips. I didn't do any changes to anything. I did it exactly by the pattern. Now, normally I would have cut a muslin or made a practice one, and you know, I just thought, you know what, life is too short, and I think this is going to fit because I've made some other Love Notion patterns, and they have worked well. The harmony, I love it. So I decided I'm just going to get this cut out because I want to sew. I don't want to fool with a pattern. And so I took a leap of faith and made a large. And the finished garment measurements for a large is a it's a full bust of 47 inches, a waist of 43.5, hips 49, bicep of 18, and length of 26. And it fits so good. It looks really, really good, even though my posture's not great and all that. It looked really good. I didn't do anything to the back, and I will turn it around so you can see it's got a beautiful inverted pleat in the back, if you can see that. And I'll insert some pictures of me wearing it, but isn't that pretty? It just all turned out so good. And this fabric is just, I love it, love it. And so it gives great instructions. It, you know, from cutting it out, what pieces you need to cut and how they need to be cut. It's got just terrific instructions. And it also talked about in the bias tape, if you didn't want to use bias tape around the neckline, you could just serge that and turn it over a 1/4 inch and top stitch it. But I really wanted to use the bias tape. Now, the only place that I didn't do terrific is right at the bottom of the V, and I think I get by with it because this pattern is so busy in the fabric. So I didn't do perfect on the V. It's got just a little bit of a little bump right there. But in this pattern and with the ties coming down over it, I don't think anybody would ever notice that but me. So the sleeves went in great, and I put cuffs like it called for. I put the little cuff around it. Now, it didn't call for me to stitch those down, but I did because the cuffs were double this, and it's a pretty lightweight challis, and they wouldn't stay up. They kind of drooped. I had droopy sleeves again. So I did sew it. I made a cuff and then I sewed it down. So I highly recommend the Love Notions Rhapsody. If you haven't already got this pattern, the sizing goes from extra small to 5X. It has 9 different sleeve options. You can make it in a blouse or a dress. It has a full bust adjustment included. Has V-neck option, V-neck with optional ties. You can just leave that open and just have a little V there. It's not low. You can use woven fabrics, and you don't have to trim the pages. You do have to stick them together, but it prints in such a way that you don't have to trim the edges, and I love that. Love that. So it made it a lot faster, and I liked it a whole lot better. Now, I found one thing about myself. I don't like to make plans. I like to, as soon as I get something done, you know, just like this, as soon as I got it finished, I wanted to make 5 more. And if I make plans and it kind of limits you, and then you look at it and you think, well, I don't really want to make that, or that fabric is not, I'm not. So I'm not going to do a plans video, but I am going to show you 3 quick fabrics. And I am planning to make a couple more of the Rhapsody because I have the pattern all ready to go, and the instructions are fresh in my mind, and I remember what worked and what maybe I would do differently. So, which is basically the bias tape. I need to work on my bias tape making skills just a little bit. But I'm going to show you these 3 fabrics, and they're all rayon. I want to make a dress version of this. It still has the shirt tail hem, and I'm not 100% sure if it'll be like long enough or too long or too, I'm not sure, but I want to make it. Now this is a rayon challis, but I think this is a rayon challis poplin, or maybe just a rayon poplin. I don't know how that all is supposed to say, but this was a little bit heavier than a challis, so maybe it's a rayon poplin. I'm not sure about that. I've had it for a while, and it came from Fabric Mart Fabrics, and it's this real pretty kind of bluey color, bluey green, and it has a little green kind of flower-like design in it. It's kind of bitsy, and it has some white, some little white floral too. I guess that, I don't know, it's cute as it can be though, and I like the fabric, and it's just a little bit heavier, so I thought for a dress, and I probably have about 3 yards of this one. I had exactly 2 yards of this one, and it worked out real well. I had just basically scraps left after I cut the bias binding. So this one, I want to make the Rhapsody dress. Now, I want to make 2 more of the Rhapsody top. So I want to make the dress, and where that fabric is just a little heavier, I think that might lend itself to the Rhapsody dress. And I have 2 fabrics. I want to make another Rhapsody blouse, and I'll probably just make the 3/4 sleeves. If I wanted to have enough fabric or something, I might make a shorter sleeve or a flutter sleeve. I probably wouldn't make the sleeveless just because y'all know how I feel about my arms. But this is another rayon challis. It came from Fabric Mart Fabrics. I don't even remember when I got it, but I recommend all their rayon challis. I've only had a problem one time, and it was with a challis poplin, and it faded a little bit. It got some fade marks in it. But other than that, I've had no problem with it at all, and I just think it's fantastic. And they had a sale last week, $4.99 a yard, and they had $4.99 shipping. And I think that was on the same sale. I might be wrong about that. But anyway, I've had this for a while, but it's so pretty, and it is just a great weight. It might be just a little bit sheer. I don't think it's sheer enough to need a lining, but I'm not 100% on that. I can see light, but I can't see anything else. So I don't know if you guys can see me. Peekaboo. But it's got a little bit of heft to it. Not real heft, but it's a little bit heavier than this challis. And what I did, the pattern recommended using spray starch if you used a lightweight fabric. And that's what I did. I starched the whole thing before I cut it out, and I like doing that. Of course, you have to wash it and get the starch out of it, but you really wouldn't have to. I mean, it's still a little flowy, but I did starch everything just to make it easier, and it did. So I probably would starch this, but I just think it's so pretty. It's got this light cream background and all these bright colored flowers, and I just think it is so pretty. Of course, I think every fabric's pretty, and I want them all. But I'm going to try making another one of these out of this. And I have one last fabric. I'm trying not to make my camera wiggle. Got you sitting on my ironing board. Now this is one, I have sewn with it a couple times and had varying degrees of success. This is a rayon crinkle challis. And those crinkles, like the double gauze, I've got some and I want to use them and I love the way they feel. But I never know. Do you iron the crinkles out, or do you cut it out while it's crinkled up? I've heard people say if you don't iron it, then when you wash it, it will grow. Like as you wear your garment, that it'll loosen up and it'll grow kind of like double gauze. And then I've heard people say that if you don't iron it before you cut out, your sizing will be off and it may be too big, and if you do iron it, it might be too small. So I don't know what to do. But this is so pretty. It's got a black background and it just has these pretty flowers all over it. And I've got about 1.5 yards of this. I don't have much more than that. But if I can't, I thought I could make, if I don't have enough to make the 3/4 sleeves, I would make short sleeves or flutter sleeves or something. But it's just so pretty. But it feels great and I love it. But it's so, it's almost stretchy because of all these little crinkles. And I'm not sure how to treat that. I'm not sure whether I need to iron it or not iron it. But maybe you can point me in the right direction. But I do love it. I love the way it feels and I love how it looks, and it's just very pretty. So I think something this dark would go into fall well enough because it has some, kind of peachy colors in it too, and the greens are a little bit darker, and with the black background I thought that might go into fall. So that's about all I have done sewing wise this week. I've just not had that much going on life wise. Trying to tie up a few loose ends for everything with my dad and getting all that done. But I've been trying to get my house kind of back in order and do a few things, not only in the sewing room but throughout the house. I've been able to get some cleaning done and a few things that I've been kind of putting off. So that's been good. And I've been getting to watch a little bit of my YouTube people all week. Jen from Today in Jen's Sewing Room, who started this hashtag Friday Sews, got a new froth machine this week. And I've really enjoyed seeing that. It's a different model and newer than mine. Mine is a Quilt Expression 720. And, they're a really amazing machines. They really are. But anyway, you can watch her video on that because she had talked about it and showed it, and I was so happy for her because she's really excited with that. But if you have time and are looking for somebody to watch, just put hashtag Friday Sews in the search bar, and then you can even search by date, the date that it was uploaded, and that way you'll be up to date and current. So Carol is always great about putting out her Friday sews, and she just got her sewing room rearranged and done, and looks amazing. And it's so good because you can just see she's so happy with it. And I feel sure she's probably already been sewing circles around some of us, not myself especially. But I'm trying to think of who else I've watched this week, but that's the two that come. There's several actually that I really love watching. Zelda sews. She is really great, and she got the biggest smile, and she's beautiful, and she is just so sweet. So you might want to watch Zelda, and also the Sewing Pastor's Wife. She is a hoot. I just think she would be the funniest thing. I just love watching her channel, and she always is laughing and always upbeat, and even if something goes wrong, she's still happy. So, and Andra has a new video on her channel about a top that she made. I will try to link to all 4 of these below if I can. But I have the same pattern that Andra just made, and I'm going to try to make that. It's a shirt, but I'm going to make the Rhapsody first because it's already on my table, and I think it'll be kind of quick. So I'm going to shut up. I have yammered on here for 20 minutes or something, so I will hush and let y'all go. But I do thank you so much for the comments that you leave, and I thank you for your help and encouragement, and I just hope everybody has a great weekend. And just remember, never give up on sewing. We'll never fail as long as we keep trying. Bye.